last evening that Jesus spent with the disciples right before he was betrayed later that night. And in the Last Supper, there are three things going on simultaneously. So let's look at those very quickly. First of all, it was a Passover Seder. It was a meal that is specifically enjoyed together on the night of Passover. So that was taking place. Secondly, it was a graduation meal. It is normal in Jewish culture that when a teacher and the students, the Talmidim, have completed their training, that they would come together and have a meal to celebrate that training, and even like a commissioning that would take place. And thirdly, and I believe most importantly, is that this was an invitation into covenant. There was actually a betrothal ceremony taking place in the midst of this. And if you look carefully at the language of the Last Supper, you'll find that it actually is very much a reference to betrothal, very deliberately. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time focusing on betrothal tonight. We'll leave that for another occasion. But I just want you to understand that Jesus was inviting the disciples for the first time into a covenant relationship. That's why he talked about this is my body broken for you. This is the new covenant in my blood. He's inviting them specifically into covenant. And so for the sake of understanding that, I want to go to Genesis 15. There are 5 major covenants that God enters into as recorded in Scripture. And this is one of them. Let me just tell you quickly what the 5 are. First is the Noahic covenant, where God enters into covenant with Noah, which is actually a covenant for all of mankind. Secondly is this covenant with Abram, whom he renames Abraham. This is the one we're going to look into. And then he enters into a covenant with Moses at Mount Sinai for all of Israel. And then he enters into a covenant with David, specifically regarding King David, regarding his family line and reigning. There's some significance to that we're not going to touch on today. And then finally, the new covenant that Yeshua enters into for our benefit, so that the gospel would go to the